All right, welcome back to the Radical Independent. I'm Dave. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for donating. Don't forget you can help me either via PayPal or Patreon. The Patreon logo at the top of my YouTube channel, click on that. That website is actually part of both this channel and my music-based video channel. If you'd like to help me out, maybe $1 or $2 per month goes a long way. If I get half my subscribers to donate $1, I won't be begging for money. It'll be just if you want to contribute to the cause, you can do so and help continue this channel. The DNC, I want to talk about the DNC and how they have a Tulsi Gabbard problem. And whether you support Tulsi Gabbard or not, I do. I'm speaking on their behalf. Much like the way the United States does business with other countries, the DNC is doing the same type of business with Tulsi Gabbard. Keep in mind, the United States is a giant corporation, as are most other countries, but, you know, the United States is a big corporation with a lot of clout, and what they do is if they see something going on in the world that they don't approve of, they sanction the other country. They might send the CIA in there to do some black ops or whatever it is, and then, of course, they might actually send our military in to completely disrupt everything. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is going to be talking about something that appears to be, I would say, either a pretext for another regime change war or some kind of operation, which, again, is aiding a country that doesn't really need our assistance. Also, this is based on oil. I mean, there are so many angles that you can look at this particular story, but I want to go back to how the DNC is treating Tulsi Gabbard, much like the United States treats a foreign country. You know, you disrupt whoever is campaigning. In this case, it would be Tulsi. She has a message that you don't approve of, so what you do is you sanction her campaign. That's what I'm getting at. You basically say, look, I know you've got the amount of donors that we asked you to have, and I know you've basically got a real clear politics average well over 2% in the polls, but those aren't sanctioned polls, and thus we're sanctioning you. We're going to tell you that you can't participate in the debate process. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard called out the whole debate thing as more or less a dog and pony show. It's a useless way to gather information about your favorite candidate, and really is mostly informationally challenged. Here, Tulsi Gabbard, though, does the unthinkable. She is, again, talking about the neocon and neo-lib war machine, and Donald Trump, almost perfectly timed, right before the 2020 election, magically, Iran is causing some problems, supposedly. I'll let Tulsi Gabbard read this incredibly awful tweet by the President of the United States.
Here's the headline, CNN popped up. Trump says U.S., quote, locked and loaded, depending on verification of attack on a Saudi oil field. Locked and loaded. I'm going to read the full quote to you because I think you'll find it as deeply disturbing as I do. Trump said, quote, Saudi Arabia's oil supply was attacked. There is reason to believe that we know the culprit. We're locked and loaded depending on verification, but are waiting to hear from the kingdom as to who they believe was the cause of this attack and under what terms we should proceed. There are so many things wrong with what he said. We, the United States, with the strongest military in the world, are locked and loaded, he says. We are waiting to hear from the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as to who they believe was the cause of the attack and under what terms we, the United States of America, should proceed. As a soldier, I can tell you this pisses me off. But Trump has been very transparent and laid very clear what we have known for a long time now. Trump is bending the knee to the interests and the wishes of Saudi Arabia and their kingdom, and using my brothers and sisters in uniform to carry out their wishes.
Incredible. Just incredible. You know, you don't even have to be political to see this and say to yourself, what is wrong with our country that we have to go from one conflict to another conflict to another conflict? Because we're running a war-based economy. Nobody wants to address that. Nobody wants to talk about that. This is why, by the way, me being kind of conservative on social issues, I'm way over to the left now on things like the war machine, Medicare for all. You know why? Because I'm starting to see that ordinary citizens are the last ones to be taken care of. But we're going to go and take care of Saudi Arabia. We're going to go over there and take care of business. Now, first of all, there's no solid evidence that this is Iran. And the fact that we blindly are just, and she would address this later, I'm sure, but we're just going to blindly take the word of a foreign country and not do our own investigation into this. And then we're going to get people all riled up here in the United States when they hear, yes, look what Iran did. Iran did this, supposedly. Tulsi Gabbard, again, is speaking for you and me. She's speaking for the common man and woman in this country who've had enough. We don't want to hear about this anymore. We don't want to hear about our next venture when it comes to war, when we've got a crumbling infrastructure, when we've got rampant homelessness and drug addiction in this country, and it seems as though all we can do is move from one war conflict to the next. And now Trump has a pretext for yet another intervention. He's got pretext. I'm surprised, John Bolton. It's weird because you fire John Bolton and then a few days later, Bolton is going to look like he's going to go on different shows, mostly neocon and neolib shows, and he's going to tell everybody how he was right. Even though this is madness, even though this is all pretty much what I would consider a false flag event so far. But it's going to be used to drum up sympathy for yet another United States intervention. So this is why the DNC and the political establishment in general have a real Tulsi Gabbard problem. Because Tulsi Gabbard isn't afraid to speak truth to power. Now, I've heard that cliche a lot, but she is literally speaking truth to power. In fact, she quoted the Eisenhower farewell address the other day, which was a monumental prophetic warning to politics as we've seen in the last 50, 60 years, that the military-industrial complex would be pretty much swallowing up everything around it. And here she is calling it out. I've also heard things like, your gas prices are going to start going up. Exploitation. Poor people who need gas to get to work, and they're going to be paying more at the pump, and they're going to say, you know what, typically I want people to take care of me, because I don't have much. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the government to go over and fight these people way overseas somewhere, probably that I can't find on a map, so I don't have to pay a fortune for gasoline. It's extortion. And it happens every single time. What happened to the fact that we're pumping more gas and natural gas and oil than ever before? Isn't that enough? I thought we were energy independent. But yet we're so dependent on this country that we have linked arms with And I'm not even going to get into the terrorist ideology and all the other things that really emanate, their origins are Saudi Arabia. I mean, look at who the 9/11 hijackers were, and look at where the only place in the world where this radical ideology festers and is practiced and then is spread in other parts of the world. There's nobody else speaking like this out there. You know, I don't hear AOC talking like this. I don't hear any of the so-called progressive rock stars out there speaking the way Tulsi Gabbard speaks when it comes to foreign policy. I'm not sure what the DNC is going to do about this. I mean, they've already driven Tulsi out of the debates. You know, again, they've sanctioned her campaign. They've said, nope, you can't get in here. We're not going to let you in. A lot of people are quoting, you know, George Carlin, it's a big old club and you ain't in it. Yeah. And this is why I'm frustrated at times. People ask me, you know, because I retweet like Howie Hawkins or something, and people go, have you given up on Tulsi, Dave? And I go, no. But the system is completely working against Tulsi, and now the DNC, they're going to have a bigger problem because the more she speaks out about these issues, the more popular she's going to be. She's a populist. She is speaking truth to power, and she's representing not big corporations, not the military-industrial complex. She's definitely representing the majority view of most Democrats who are normal, and most Republicans, believe it or not, who are normal. And when I say normal, I mean people who aren't sitting there going, okay, which war can we do next? Because we've really got to pump up our economy. It's like their philosophy, you know, people think, well, World War II, really, that's what got us out of the Depression. Okay. So I guess from here on forward, we can't find a solution to that economic dilemma, so we're going to continue to perpetuate war. And guess what? Trump is figuring, hey, if I'm a wartime president and I'm taking on a country which most America looks at in a negative way because the media obviously keeps that narrative going, even in the television shows. I mean, you can watch TV shows where it's a cop show or a drama where there's stuff that happens that's international. And it's always stuff that's terrorist related. It keeps that whole thing going to just, it's almost like deep state infiltration. I don't know what you would call it. It's very subliminal, and it seems to really work, and people buy into it. But she keeps going, and the DNC has a huge problem. Because she's declared basically that she's not quitting. She's going to go right to the convention, and she's going to have a bunch of delegates, and she's going to be a power broker when she gets to the convention, whether she's on top of the heap or somewhere in the middle. She is going to hold many cards, and she's also the catalyst for a political movement which might jump over to another party. It might try to manifest itself in independent candidacies around the country, which are starting to spring up. People who are independent-minded, who are saying, look, I'm not really a Democrat. I'll run as a Democrat in the primary, and this is what I'll be for. Or they're running like the gentleman in Arkansas. I think his name's Daniel Whitfield. He's running as an independent, and he's running his whole campaign on this type of ideology and not taking special interest money. So again, Tulsi Gabbard, just awesome here. She's a little angry, and I don't blame her, because this is exactly why she's running for president, and it's unfolding right before our eyes as she's on the campaign trail. I think this is a false flag. I'm just going to say that right now. And I may be proven wrong, but it's certainly pretext for yet another conflict, another regime change or interventionist war. And tell you what, Trump's base of support is going to start to crumble, but he will pick up support from neocons and neolibs if he does this. And it's a political calculation. He's betting that his base will stick with him. I don't know. If you bring a populist candidate out like Bernie or Tulsi to go one-on-one with him, he's going to get clocked. His clock is going to get cleaned, and he's not going to win. So, all right, done with this video. Be back soon. Thanks for tuning in. Aloha. Have a great day.